go! Good evening. Welcome to the Steel City Huddle podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman, joined as always by Zach Franciscus. Zach, how are you?
I'm good. Although it kind of feels like Steeler Nation out there now that there hasn't been activity in a bit. You're getting bored and restless and just really irritable.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, we talked about this last week when there wasn't so much going on. You know, we had those couple of weeks where it felt like, holy crap, like cool stuff will never stop coming. And now it's kind of settled down. So you might as well just do a quick countdown as to where we are in the rest of this off season. We're Boz days away from training camp starting, which would be 9. Deshaun Elliott days away from our first preseason game, and Zach Frazier days away from our week 1 game. So, I mean, that clock is ticking. 25 days till the first preseason game is wild. And just think this time next week, the players will be in Latrobe, checking into their dorm rooms, getting themselves set up with the first practice, I think, being on Thursday. And that's pretty amazing stuff. I mean, that is right around the corner.
I am so excited. It doesn't seem like it's going to be right here, but I got so used to, kind of telling myself, don't get excited. Yeah. It's just mini camp. It's just OTAs. This is camp. Like, you can actually start to think stuff about people. Yeah.
I mean, you can actually start to form opinions. People can't feel like, oh, well, this isn't real, or, nobody's touching anybody. We'll start to have pads and contact and all of those things before too long. And so, yeah, it's exciting to feel like it's almost here. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show about some of the impressions people are getting about this Steelers team. And for once, I mean, some positivity coming out about this team. I think that's exciting. We're also going to talk about the cornerback room. Each week we've done a state of the kind of union for each room in the team, and cornerbacks will be tonight. So we'll talk about that. We've got some bits and bobs to cover before then, some little things. We have 2 Steeler birthdays today. I have to thank Steelers Takeaway because they do these every day and they do such a good job. So John Stallworth and Carnell Lake both have birthdays today. 2 awesome former Steelers.
Carnell Lake. If you didn't get to see Carnell Lake play, what an underrated person. And he's a coach now. I forget where he's coaching, but
I don't remember where he is now. He did coach for the Steelers for a while. After he played for them, he coached for the Steelers for a while. I'm not sure where he is now. I know he bounced around a little bit. I think he was even like in the CFL or something like that for a little bit, but yeah, he's coaching, and what an incredible guy. If you're too young to remember him or weren't a fan, then you should definitely check out some of his highlights, because what a phenomenal player he was.
Exactly. And John Stallworth, what a guy who, despite the fact a lot of people say he was the number 2, he played second fiddle to no one.
Unbelievable. In a time where, those guys did unbelievable stuff. So yeah, just an incredible player. This came from a Ravens account, but God, I saw it and it just pissed me off, and I had to bring it to share, because if I'm mad, you have to be mad too. The last time the Steelers won a playoff game, Barack Obama was still president. Vine was still around. Game of Thrones was on season 6, and TikTok didn't even exist. That's freaking crazy.
I mean, that just sounds. See, so what I got from that is when the Steelers are winning playoff games, the world is better off. Is that what I'm hearing? Because that's what I got from that, is that those are all those things made me, I'm like, Vine, I miss Vine a lot. Wow, all that.
Miss Vine. I mean, I'm not a TikToker, so I mean, I watch some. I don't use it as much, but yeah, I mean, so we just need Pittsburgh to win. The world was a better place.
It really was, but that should kind of tell you how that this year is more important than I think we think. A lot of people are throwing it away or all that. No, a playoff win this year, and people can stop saying shit like that.
Yes. Because that Ravens fan was super smug with that. But I mean, if we want to start stacking Super Bowl rings, we can do that anytime they want over in old Charm City. So.
And I'm just saying, when we had Ben Roethlisberger and an amazing quarterback, we won the Super Bowl. So where's Lamar Jackson's? I'm just.
I'll never take away, Lamar's talent. I mean, he is a talented quarterback. I wouldn't hate having him in Pittsburgh, but he's not winning Super Bowls. They're not winning Super Bowls yet with him either. So
Exactly. So
if it's by your logic, then Joe Flacco's a better quarterback or whatever. So, yeah.
And Trent Dilfer.
Oh God, I forgot about Trent Dilfer. Oh yeah.
Ravens fans just show.
Yeah. I'm sure they'd like to forget about him too. Well, let's talk for a second about the wide receiver room, because there's been rumors still circulating, and there's two players in particular. We're going to talk about them, but I wanted to read you this quote from Mark Cavalli, who was on The Fan recently. He said, "I think they'll wait to see how this training camp plays out a little bit to see if the Roman Wilsons and the Calvin Austins can provide what they are looking for. I mean, they got a big shot in the arm with Jonnu Smith. Now that's a fallback plan, a chess piece. So all of a sudden it's not as important as it once was." But rumors have started to circulate this week about two different players. And look, I mean, if somebody sneezes in a city, needs a tissue, they're automatically getting traded to the Steelers. So I'm definitely not putting any stock in these. But the first is Juwan Jennings with the 49ers. And I feel a little bit like, fuck you, San Francisco. I'm not going down this road of pretend negotiations with you so you can get a better deal out of your player. But he's scheduled to make $7.5 million this season in the final year of his deal. And he wants a new contract, or he wants a trade. That sounds very familiar. He had a good year last year, but he's not great. Yeah, and I agree with Rel. Like he said, let's be real, Juwan Jennings is not happening like 100%. And I totally agree. I think San Francisco will find a way to keep him. I don't think he really wants to leave. I think, he saw it work for his teammates. I mean, I would do that too. If everybody in my company went in and stomped their foot and complained for a raise and got it, I'd stomp my foot and complain for a raise and get it. So, but the other one that's come up is Terry McLaurin from the Commanders. And McLaurin said, "I've been pretty frustrated, I'm not going to lie. Everything that has transpired up until this point has been disappointing and frustrating. I've wanted to continue my career here. I've created my life here. My wife and I have bought our first home here. This has just been somewhere I've always wanted to be. Just to see how things have played out has been disappointing. Obviously, I understand everything is a business, but at the same time, I want to put myself in a position where I'm valued." And I think he's in an interesting position because, man, the Commanders were on fire last year. I mean, if I were McLaurin, I would want to come back to Washington, although their defense is kind of in shambles. So they may be facing like a Bengals situation. But Zach, what do you think about these two? Do you think either of these are realistic? Would you want either of these? Relic's all in on McLaurin, but also doesn't think it's happening.
Well, the thing about realistic is what I thought was realistic as a Steeler fan has drastically changed this offseason. Right. I would have said no at the beginning of this, but we have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers on our team right now, so I'm not really sure how to. But I will say that they're two different types of gets. If we get Juwan Jennings, it means that we didn't see Smith as that absolute wide receiver too, and we still needed that. I think getting Jennings is a worse thing because right now Jonnu Smith is that guy. I seriously think he's the wide receiver too. McLaurin means that front office and coaching staff got together and says, guys, we are one piece away from a Super Bowl. We are a McLaurin away. That is the only way we're getting him. So if we wake up tomorrow or next week and McLaurin's on our team, you have to immediately change every single standard you have for the Steelers this year, and they're sending a message. So they're two different kind of gets. I don't think we're going to get either one because of the Jonnu Smith. But I just, they're two kind of different levels, but people need something to feed right now. But you have to, Mark Bowling kind of did a shrug off with how he presented the Jonnu Smith thing, but Jonnu Smith, he really took a lot of weight off that front office to go out and get somebody else. We don't need someone else. If you got someone, cool. We don't need anybody else like that right now.
I saw somebody else say, and I should have made a note of who it was, so I apologize that I can't credit them, but I saw somebody else in Pittsburgh media say that our wide receiver 2 is our tight end room, and we need to just look at it like in that way. And I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was an interesting point. We had talked about that a little bit. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago or something like that. And I think that there's some, maybe when we talked about the tight ends, I think there's some validity to that, that they're going to be looking at those people, particularly in the type of offense that Arthur Smith tends to run. I just think that makes a lot of sense. My thing with McLaurin is I just think that he's a caliber of wide receiver that would put us in a weird position to have both him and DK Metcalf. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden you're in the same situation as the Bengals, where you've got these two like almost wide receiver ones or almost equal, better matched guys that are going to want to get paid. I don't think that Jennings is at that same level. Do you know what I mean? So I think he could be had a little bit cheaper, but I also think that he's not that proven. He had a solid year last year, but he wasn't amazing. Do you know what I mean? And we haven't seen it consistently. So yeah, I don't know.
I would say this: if he was that guy and we were McLaurin away, he would be a Pittsburgh Steeler right now. The way Omar Khan's operating, he would have gone out and made that happen. And not only that, if that was, it would be Aaron Rodgers' thing too. Mm-hmm. We'll go out and get someone else for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. But I think Aaron Rodgers, I'm speculating. I have not heard anything. I think Aaron Rodgers looked around and said, you know what? This is a really good group of pass catchers. Not just that, Jalen Warren's a good pass catcher. Caleb Johnson's a good pass catcher. Literally all the offensive players that aren't offensive linemen on our team are good pass catchers. And Zach Frazier might catch a few. You never know.
Yeah. Relic brings up somebody else that I did see pop up this week too, which is Chase Claypool and the possibility of the Steelers bringing Claypool back. And I don't know. My immediate reaction is to say no, and not because I have anything against the kid. You know what I mean? But I don't know that. I know he says he looks more mature on Instagram. I do think he's grown up. I didn't think he was that immature. His immaturity wasn't my biggest issue with him. It was his on-field performance, the consistency with that performance.
Yeah, there's a big difference between. Yeah, because a lot of people compare him and Martavius Bryant, but number one, Martavius Bryant was far more talented than Chase Claypool. Yeah. And the moment Chase Claypool did the celebration after the first down in the Minnesota Vikings game, I wrote him off as a serious football player. Yeah. There are certain things I cannot, like Deontay Johnson doing the fumble thing. I can't forgive certain things that are fundamental in football. So no, I want Chase Claypool nowhere. This is a great wide receiver room. It seems solid. You have good veteran leadership that, is proven, and then wherever Robert Woods is going to offer, don't mess with that. Don't mess with that. Don't bring someone in like that.
No one toxic. No one we're sitting here worried substantially over, what their attitude's going to be like or their behavior is going to be like. And that's the first time we've had that in a really long time. I wasn't a Juju hater like a lot of other people were, but every season I had to think oh my God, what are people going to be complaining about with him this year? Do you know what I mean? What's he going to do that's going to set all the old white men off? I just, it's just too much. And so this is the first time in a long, since pre-Antonio Brown, even maybe, where we haven't had a wide receiver where you're worried about drama or chaos. Do you know what I mean? Because even with Antonio Brown, you did kind of feel even before he got really crazy, you did kind of feel you were always in this whirlwind with him, of stuff. There was always just stuff happening, even if it wasn't always negative. Well, the Browns keep on browning, and Quinshon Judkins was arrested. He was arrested for domestic violence. I guess the victim stated that Judkins punched her in the mouth and chin area with a closed fist. It's really scary. And I guess while she was driving, and then struck her some additional times, so in her arm and leg. They called the police. I guess they arrested him. I don't think there's any more news about what's happening with that right now. I'm sure that the Browns are investigating. The NFL is investigating the way it does in these cases. But man, what a shame for a kid with a promising future.
It really is. And this just does not speak very highly about the Browns' ability to do character assessment before getting players. Because I'm just saying their roster is littered with people right now. You're just it's like the 90s Dallas Cowboys. You're okay, there might be some talent here, but my goodness, that's a lot of people in jail.
Yeah, because I would set aside the speeding ticket, right? To me, that's just young kid stupidity stuff, right? That wasn't. Yeah. I don't think he was intentionally being dangerous. You know what I mean? He wasn't out drinking or driving, but the other stuff, I mean, so then when you add all those other factors in, then you do have to start to wonder, you know, is there an issue with the way they evaluate talent? Relic says he keeps hearing that Shador is going to be cut from the Browns no matter how good he plays. They are so in on Kenny, it's comical. If that's true, that's absurd. And I actually, you know, I hope it's true. I hope it's true. And I hope we play Kenny twice this year and get to dole out some punishments.
I really do. Because so far, what I'm seeing from the Steelers is that we are maturing a little bit and we're not going to make really bad opposing quarterbacks look good like we have in the past, because that's what I don't want. I don't want us to play Kenny Pickett, get all excited about it, and then somehow we make him look good. That would just be embarrassing. So
I couldn't handle that. It always makes me think of that Kendrick Green game with the Texans, and I get so freaking angry. You had one job, defense, one job. Yeah, just embarrassing.
Yeah, that was fun.
So the Steelers have been doing their own little bit of flirtation on social media with some tweets lately. And these have been linked back to the possibility that they're coming, you know, that they're going to be announcing the throwback jerseys pretty soon. According to Andrew Lynn of sportslogos.net, the Steelers will reveal their new throwback yellow helmets and corresponding uniforms on July 21st. He wrote that the new jerseys mirror the 07 through 11 throwback uniforms more than the team's color rush design, as the striping on the sleeves is slightly different. So that will be interesting to see if that's really what this is about, these little, you know, teasy tweets that they've been putting out every week. It will be interesting to see what pops up on social media in, 6 days or something.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of the throwback jerseys, and not only that, I'm always a fan of, you know, social media group doing well. Mm-hmm. You know, we never seem to join in any of the fun social media stuff that happens out in the NFL. So I'm glad we're trying to get ourselves in there a bit and be relevant. Yeah,
agreed. So there's been some comments lately from some of our new players about how happy they are to be in Pittsburgh, how excited they are to be in here. So I'm going to hit you with both of these, and then we'll talk about them. The first was from Jonnu Smith, who was on the Zach Smacks podcast. I hope I got Zach spelled correctly and didn't just have my Zach on the brain. That I'm in the best possible situation, you know, that any football junkie would want to be. You know what I mean? I'm in with a winning organization, Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame coach with Mike T, you know, all types of ballers on both sides of the ball. And then this about Ramsey and Smith saying that if this thing, you know, ahead of time, they were saying if this thing really goes down, if this thing really happens, Pittsburgh is a team that's historically going to always be in the dance. It's just maybe a couple missing pieces like us that can fill in the void and get over that hump. One thing that we both admired about this situation was the culture that Mike Tomlin established. I can't wait to play for him. So they both acknowledged that they were excited to come to Pittsburgh. They were hoping for this to work out, to be here, the trade. And so I thought that was really interesting. I mean, you know, look, I don't think anybody's going to be like, this is the last place I wanted to be. I hate Pittsburgh. I don't like bridges, and French fries on sandwiches make me angry. Like, I don't think anybody is going to say anything like that, right? You got to make good with your new city and your new fan base. But we've seen players before when they're not happy to be somewhere, and there's a way to not say anything, you know, and kind of skirt that question or just play politically correct. That kind of effusive like exuberance over being here.
Oh, it's genuinely outstanding, and I keep thinking that the moves that we've made are just so incredible that, I mean, DK Metcalf is someone we don't bring up immediately when talking about the big moves this offseason. But I've watched a couple interviews with Jonnu Smith, this one and the other one. When he talks about being in Pittsburgh, he lights up. You can see that there's a genuine excitement there. And for that conversation that you showed between him and Jalen Ramsey, they were still on the Dolphins. Nothing had happened yet. They were just talking about where, you know, they might want to end up. Goodness, Mike Tomlin says it more often than not. I know we want, you know, volunteers, not hostages. Right. And for people to want to, for someone like Jalen Ramsey, that's a caliber of player I only ever thought would see in a Steeler jersey when it came to Madden is a Pittsburgh Steeler. And that's insane. So the fact that they are happy to be here, and I think it's a culminating thing. DK Metcalf was the first one to be here. He was happy to be here. Aaron Rodgers happy to be here, and then we keep building all these really impressive vines that are all really excited to be here and with each other. That's going to translate to the football field 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, I don't know. I look, volunteers, not hostages, all that stuff. I think those things are really important. So I think to be able to get some guys here that really want to be here, I think they help, especially on this defense. I think it helps breathe some life into that group, where there's been some struggles and maybe some frustrations, so I'm hoping that those kinds of things, help in that situation as well. Relic said, can you imagine Kenny Pickett having TJ Watt coming at him? He's going to boo himself.
I know exactly what he'll do. He'll spin into Highsmith. That's what he does. He spins into the other defender. That's a Kenny. So we know exactly what
Alex. He'll get you. Speaking of Alex Highsmith, I should have put this on a slide, but mad props to him. If you didn't see the news, George Pickens bailed on that kids football camp up north. I forget where it was, maybe like New York or New Jersey, something like that he was supposed to go and volunteer his time, and he wound up bailing on it. And Pat Freiermuth stepped up and went up there and took the camp instead, took his place. And I saw that Alex Highsmith went up and helped him. And that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, Alex is a good dude, always giving back. So that was really nice to see.
And then that didn't affect anybody's attendance at the Cam Hayward's home run derby thing that they had, which is great. So
I went to that last year. If you live in Pittsburgh, that's a really fun event to go to. It's in Washington at the Wild Things Stadium usually, and it's a lot of fun. You maybe get a chance to meet some players. I did last year when I was there. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun event.
It does seem like it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's it's small. It's a little more, I don't know, intimate or whatever. So, you're not just like rubbing elbows with the players the whole time. I don't want to give that impression, but the guys are right there. It's a small, baseball stadium, not a big one. So you're right there with the guys. So they're, like I said, signing autographs and chat with fans and stuff. It's a lot of fun, just kind of a relaxed environment, guys joking around and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It's a good kind of like preview because they're all about to be at camp. So if they're already seeing each other, then I like that. That's camaraderie that legitimately matters. I like that.
A lot of money for a good cause. The Hayward House does a lot of good work, and Cam does a lot for that community, and so it's nice to see that all those guys. It shows how much respect that guys on the team have for Cam because they always come out and force and support that. Russell Wilson was there last year. Alex Highsmith goes every year. There's a bunch of other guys that always go. And so it's nice to see them all there, especially the guys that stay local, like Christian Kuntz and some of those guys. They're always there. Yeah, it's nice. Relic asked, too, if we'd seen, I had forgotten about this, the Kyle Juszczyk news that he spoke about why he chose the 49ers in a pay cut versus the Steelers and more money. And Relic put the quote, he said, chance to look at a different team, and I felt a lot of love from them. I got excited for a second about what possibly could be, but at the end of the day, I wasn't ready to trump what I had. I think it was that old, grass isn't always greener on the other side. I know he said he really liked his meeting with the Steelers and liked his talks with Mike Tomlin. He said it was just a different experience and what it could be, new beginnings, fitting into a new offense. And he enjoyed his time with Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin so much. I have so much respect for those guys. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough to trump what I had in San Francisco, and I couldn't pull the plug. And he took a pay cut to go back, even though the Steelers made a better offer than the 49ers.
And that may have, as much as I would have liked someone like him on the Steelers, the truth is there wasn't really a place for him. We proved we don't use fullbacks in Pittsburgh anymore. Yeah. The days of Dan Kreider, that's gone. Futuma Afala, all them. But the 49ers, that is just Kyle Shanahan. He knows exactly how to plan for fullbacks, and he's going to be used well. So I have a feeling during those Steelers meetings, they're like, listen, we'll pay you a bit more, but you're not going to get the same kind of usage. We're going to need you to do this. So there may have been an honest conversation about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think, if you look at some of those things, that you want to hear that, especially, if you're a guy like him that's such a competitor, you want to you want to win a Super Bowl, you want to be successful. And, I can certainly understand, why he would want to stay where he is. Like that doesn't surprise me at all. So yeah,
and
nothing but respect for him.
And there's a lot of 49er pride that was hurt after the not showing up at all last season. So I think there's people who want to right that ship.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think, they've had they had a rough go. I mean, they were riding high after that Super Bowl appearance and really felt like they were going to, return and win. And then they've just been crippled with injuries and issues and all of these contract negotiations and things that have gone on. And so, yeah, I think that, that factors in too, that, you've got this group of guys and you feel some type of way about them and you want to, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you want to go win it with these guys. Relic agreed that the Steelers just wouldn't have used him as much, so he made the right choice. I agree. I think sometimes, places can be great. I know that even in work, somewhere can be great, but it doesn't necessarily make it great for you or a great fit.
That's a very, very good point.
Relic's asking about the Watt situation. We're going to talk about him for a second. So, Zach, if you would cue up my drunk uncle music, let's kick it off with our favorite drunk uncle. This feels a little bit unfair. Using a tweet from Andrew Filipponi feels like something I could do, a drunk uncle tweet from the dumb shit that comes out of his mouth every single day. But Zach was right that this one really kind of took the cake. So he sends this out the other day. Would you make this trade? TJ Watt in a 2026 sixth round pick for Terry McLaurin in a 2026 third round pick. I vote yes. I vote no. But I will say that my husband is a Commanders fan, and he wasn't real happy about it either. He was like, "Yeah, I don't really want to give up Terry McLaurin." But I will say, I mentioned it earlier that the Washington's defense is in shambles. I mean, it's a mess. They're very close to like a Cincinnati Bengals situation without having solid players. But so I don't know that they could really afford to break the bank on a TJ Watt. You know what I mean? Like, would he bring something to that defense? Sure. But they need to spread that funding around a little bit more. Relic says no.
That's the response that should happen, because not only is that, horribly devaluing Watt. I mean, yeah, I know you might be frustrated about this. So, wow, that's banking a lot on Terry McLaurin. How many defensive MVPs and sack records does McLaurin have offensively? Like the offensive, he had Scary Terry. Sure, it's a fun nickname, but goodness, this is because I went back and I read some of the interviews and some of the comments that were happening around the time that TJ was holding out last year. It's a copy paste to this year. The only difference is there's more Twitter this time around. That's the only difference. People can say more stuff. So this is not different. It's just, I don't know why. I think because I'm older, I'm more frustrated now. I'm just crotchety and mad at people. I'm like, calm down. He's going to sign.
Well, it's been like exhausting. Like, I mean, since Ben retired, Twitter is just an exhausting place, right? Of the constant speculation, the constant complaining. Like, I don't really understand the mindset of the fans that, like, were cheering for TJ Watt. And last season, like when he was maybe hurt a little bit, we can't do anything without him. We're no good without him. And then now all of a sudden, you think you're going to trade him to some team for like 4 first-round picks or something crazy. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, people just don't make sense to me. Relic said Terry McLaurin is calculated market value as $31.1 million a year, 3 years for $93 million. We cannot afford that, right? Right. We cannot afford that. I mean, maybe if we hadn't done the DK Metcalf deal, maybe if that hadn't worked out, maybe something like this makes sense because we're desperate for a wide receiver and we've got Highsmith and we've got.
if this was absolutely going to happen, then the money that we would have spent on number one, I don't think it's going to happen. But
It's not.
if we did that, then the money for TJ wouldn't be for TJ anymore; it would be for Terry, and that meant that they would have talked to a couple other players who said, "Yeah, we'll move stuff around, maybe do some, shifting into bonus or however the money works in the NFL. The magic." Oh, here's extra money we didn't know that we had, kind of thing. They would find the money to do it, but the thing is, it's better spent on TJ. I don't care if he's 31 or not. By the way, for anyone saying he's 31, he's not 31 till October.
Right.
So that's like half the season. So everyone just
David
calm
Warren
down.
is 20.
We're desperate to be angry about this.
I know.
Everyone is
I'm
desperate.
not angry. I am not angry. Relic asked, when we asked before how he felt about it, he said, word on the street is that TJ wants more years in his contract. Steelers should be signing that contract fast as hell. Look, I agree. I mean, I think they will. I think they're going to sign it. You know what I mean? I think it's a no-brainer. I think they're going to sign it. I think that this is the process. I agree with you. This was the process before. This was the process with Cam Hayward. Like, this is the process. And I don't think that there's, maybe other players you have to be worried about, but I have zero doubt that when the time comes for TJ to step on that field, he will be ready. I said it every single week. Do you know what I mean? He will be ready. Would I rather have him there at camp, practicing? Yes. But do I trust his ability to jump on the field and play? Absolutely. You know what I mean? He's without a doubt, he's a consummate professional. He's a hard worker. He's works 365 days a year to keep himself in shape and ready to go for football. And so I have no doubt he'll be ready. I think this is just a process they have to work through. And I think wasn't it last time? Wasn't he the one that kind of walked in and was like, just sign this shit and get it done? Do you know what I mean? I want to play football.
And weirdly enough, that a lot of people are using that as a reason why it's the Steelers' turn.
It was the day, but it was still the day before the season started, right? And so if you're the Steelers, if you're Watt, you're not going to tip your hand any earlier than you have to, right? This is a business. The Steelers are going to try to keep as much money as they can. Watt's going to try to earn as much money as they can. And at some point when they have to, they'll meet in the middle and they'll come up with a resolution that works for everybody. But they set money aside to pay him. They're going to pay him. I mean, I hope I'm not wrong about this, knock on wood, but I just have very little doubt that this will be resolved by the time the season starts.
Oh, I don't want to say I have no doubt at all, because the way weird things this offseason have happened, it might. But I do know that I have full faith that it will happen. And everything that I've heard and read, it'll be a 3-year deal. And the big tie-up isn't really the length of the deal. It's kind of everyone. It's 3 years. Everyone kind of knows that. I don't know how everybody does.
Because the Steelers only do certain kinds of contracts. You know what I mean? So they're not like other teams where they'll do like 1, 3, 4, 5. They do certain contracts and that's it.
I like that, but it's the guaranteed money. That's the big thing. TJ wants a lot of the contract guaranteed, and I love my Steelers and I love the front office and the way it all works. But the more for anyone not paying attention to the whole, the NFL colluded against guaranteed money for Lamar Jackson and all that kind of stuff. Now in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, TJ, if you push on guaranteed money, that just came out there, that might be a sticking. So this might go all the way up to the wire. He will sign. I 100% believe that, because I think the Steelers know that everything they just did in the offseason is blown up if TJ goes anywhere. So, and you're going to have a very angry Metcalf, Ramsey, Smith, and Rodgers if that happens. So he's going to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, if all these like media people, right, all these supposed NFL experts really believe that everything the Steelers have done this year is this sign that they're all in on this Super Bowl run, that they believe in this group. And Relic points it out, we have Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, right? That's it, 100% confirmed. So why would we start breaking in somebody new into our system? But my thing is if you're all in, your best player is TJ Watt. I don't give a shit who else you have on the team. He's our best player. And so why, if you're really trying to go win a Super Bowl this year with Aaron Rodgers, would you let your best players, slide through your fingers? I mean, unless it was absolutely the relationship was irreparable, but I don't believe that. I mean, there's there's not animosity between these two.
No, and it's weird to think, but a lot of these, like TJ's, 31 and all that. Isn't Aaron Rodgers 41 or something? That's a decade. So
maybe a little different for a guy that hits people the way Watt does versus somebody who can't even be hit anymore. But I do think I think JJ showed, you know what I mean? I think we've seen a lot of these guys show that they're in peak physical condition. TJ was a little bit banged up last year, but when he wasn't, I mean, he was performing at a very high level. I mean, there was conversation early on about him being the front runner for the defensive player of the year prior to him getting dinged up a little bit. So he's performing at a very high level. You look at what Cam Hayward did last year. Everybody doubted, shit on Cam. He's old, you know what I mean? Why are we paying this old man? And he had one of the best seasons of his career. I mean, he was on fire.
Yeah. Oh, he was. And the more we learn about last year's defense, about the frustrations behind the scenes, the lack of preparedness, the lack of communication, it's no wonder if they did say, hey, by the way, TJ, you want to switch to the other side? He'd go, why would that help? Throw more chaos into this? We can't communicate when I'm on the right side. Right. No, I'm not. So in that moment, I have to admit, I was a little frustrated at TJ. I'm like, come on, buddy. You got to take over for the team. Just move to the other side. Do what you got to do. Looking back on it now, I'm like, good for you, because that probably would have caused more chaos. Yeah. At least, stay on one side. So there was a lot going on last year that I have to give TJ a pass for.
I agree. And I blame coaching for that, because that's a coaching thing, right? I understand TJ Watt, your star, and you cut those guys a lot of slack and they make a lot of decisions for themselves, right? But you can't have him, it would be like if your offense came out and ran the same play, or like Matt Canada, right? Like it's like that on defense, right? So they know what you're doing. And so you have to mix it up a little bit. And that was a shame. I mean, really, we will not be taking any Highsmith slander, Relic. So I'm not even showing that comment. Relic says everything that you need to know right here. Steelers are 79-40-2 with TJ Watt. We are 1-11 without him. That's enough. Pay the man.
That's true. And Relic, we love you to death, but look right behind Leanne, and you should know there's certain people you just don't badmouth. Not only that, I'm friends with both Alex Highsmith and his dad on Twitter, so they'll both come for people. They're nice guys. But for the record, Alex Highsmith is not the same as TJ Watt. TJ Watt is an elite pass rusher. When you're an elite run stopper, it's really underrated. Same reason you don't hear people talk about Casey Hampton the way that they should. Elite run stoppers are different.
But I think Alex was a victim, too, of the bullshit that was going on in that defense. Do you know what I mean? TJ with some injuries, do you know what I mean? I think impacted him. We saw that when TJ was really hurt and out. Was it 2 years before, or whatever that was, when he was out for those games and we were losing. That it allows those teams to just kind of like double up on Alex and decrease his effectiveness, just like TJ is less effective when Alex was out hurt. So I think the combination of them together is a dangerous one. And we saw it work really, really well when the defense was working really well. And I don't know what was going on at the end of last year.
It was like, I truly believe
nobody's TJ caliber, right? Like if other people were TJ caliber, it'd be a no-brainer to trade him. If we already had another TJ, why do we need the one we've got?
Yeah, there's a word people need to understand that you use when you talk about TJ Watt, and it's the same word when you talk about Aaron Donald. Generational. TJ's not just good, he's generational. And I do not throw that word around. I reserve that Ben was generational, Hines Ward was generational, Polamalu. You have to either be elite at what you do or change the position of what you do. And he was elite and just with one arm just changed that way, and the entire NFL had to react to him.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we drafted him, I was like, we just want another JJ. I don't know why we're doing this. And then I'm eating every single word that I said. So
yeah, you and a lot of other people, because he was not getting the respect, that he deserved coming out of college. I mean, he fell all the way down to us at 31 or whatever it was. So yeah.
Good.
So we had some interesting comments come out this week about the Steelers defense. I alluded to this at the start of the show, and I think this is really interesting. I don't know if it bodes well. I'm just going to bask in the glory of people saying nice things about us. I usually prefer people to hate on us. I think we do better when we're the underdogs. But there was two significant comments made this week, so I'm going to give them to you, and then we'll talk about them. The first came from Luke Kuechly, who was on Up and Adams with Kay Adams this week, and she asked him who he thinks will have the best defense in the NFL this year. And he said, I hate to say it. I'm from Cincinnati, and so I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be Pittsburgh. He said they're always tough. They've got some stuff to figure out. Everybody's looking at the TJ Watt situation and them sending Minka down to Miami. But you look at the build of that secondary with Darius Slay, Joey Porter, Jalen Ramsey, and then you have Alex Highsmith off the edge and TJ Watt on the other side. Cam Hayward on the inside, they've got some dudes. Patrick Queen, and everyone knows I love Peyton Wilson at the linebacker level. They've got a little bit of everything. They've got a 3-level approach that I like. I think they've just got to figure out, do they feel good about Juan Thornhill stepping in for Minka? That defense on all 3 levels is going to have a really, really good opportunity to be a dangerous team.
See, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff, right? So then, and we're going to talk about the cornerback room specifically, but then Mitch Wasserman was also talking about the Steelers defense, and he said most of the Steelers defense played at a high level last season. The lone exception was the cornerback unit that ranked 30th in the NFL in PFF coverage grade. They did well to fix that, acquiring a couple of outstanding veterans. Former Eagle Darius Slay earned a 75.5 PFF coverage grade that ranked 16th in the NFL last season. Recent trade acquisition Jalen Ramsey recorded the 11th best PFF overall grade among qualified cornerbacks in his final season in Miami. If both of these moves pan out, the Steelers could have the best defense in the NFL this season. And I mean, that is remarkable stuff to hear that kind of praise coming out about our defense. Kuechly said, you look at these guys, this potential secondary, and that is a scary bunch. Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., Deshaun Elliott, Jalen Ramsey, and Beanie.
That's true. And just for the record, I don't want any disrespect or not. Corey Trice is lurking back there as another dark horse that is he's very good at his that's a I don't want my hopes to get up as high as that did, but when someone like Luke Kuechly, I mean, for anyone who didn't watch Luke Kuechly in his heyday, my goodness, you couldn't build a better football player if you tried.
Incredibly
exactly. And Peyton Wilson was compared to him when he was going through the draft process. So that's really exciting to hear, because I'll be honest, it hasn't been since 2008, maybe, because 10 defense wasn't as good. 2008 defense was like elite defense. Yeah. I remember the Steelers having. We had good defenses outside of that, but to have the best defense in the NFL again, I wouldn't mind that at all, because this offense is going to need a little help to get going, I feel, early on. Yeah. I hope I'm wrong, but I just kind of feel that's going to happen. So I really, really want that got me really, really excited. I like that.
Yeah, I was pretty geeked about that. I was pleasantly surprised, and I thought it was a well thought out endorsement. Do you know what I mean? That made a lot of sense when you think about it. And we had said earlier, we're going to talk a little bit about that cornerback room. And so I'm curious, what you think of that group. Do you know what I mean? Do you agree with Kuechly that you think this is the strong unit that he talks about? I mean, look, that group struggled last year, and the Steelers clearly put everyone on notice that we are not doing that shit again this year, and went out and did what they could to fix the problem. So do you think they fix, I know we won't know till it happens, but do you feel like it looks like we fixed the problem?
Oh, I definitely do. I've talked before about how I felt like last year and a little bit the year before was like a dress rehearsal for what we actually did this year. And the Patrick Peterson turned into Jalen Ramsey, and Darius Slay is no slouch. This is genuinely an exciting group, because you can't discount how quickly things were falling apart. And then the Steelers' answer was, oh, by the way, Cam Sutton.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, the amount of tone deaf moves last year that we did, I can lose track and get myself incredibly angry and have to take more ulcer medication than I already take. But it all the clouds kind of clear and the weather gets nice when you look at this group, because I have to keep reminding myself that Jalen Ramsey really is a Pittsburgh Steeler, because I know it's real and I know it's there, but more than any of these guys, more than DK Metcalf, or even more than Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey is someone that to me signaled what Omar Khan probably is not going to say out loud, that he is probably saying, I'm not saying we will, guys, but everything goes right, we're a contender. I mean, you don't want to say it too loudly in the front office, but that's what the Jalen Ramsey move said to me. But then Joey Porter Jr., I'm curious, Leanna, about your things on Joey Porter Jr., because I was talking with you before. I didn't realize he was the most penalized cornerback in the NFL in 2024. 17 flags thrown against him, 6 flags against him against the Bengals. Do you trust him to be able to get that under control in his third season? Because that was a sophomore slump I didn't expect.
Yeah, look, he's a handsy kid. I mean, we knew that. We knew that when we drafted him. Do you know what I mean? He was that way at Penn State. I mean, this isn't new. I don't know. Maybe it's in his genes. His dad was a handsy guy too, but in a time where you were allowed to be a little bit handsier than you are now. So, I have to feel like he's going to continue to work on it, right? Like I was surprised it didn't take like a substantial step forward his sophomore year, but I'm hoping that maybe Jalen Ramsey is somebody who helps him with that, and provides some veteran leadership or some guidance or some mentorship or whatever that looks like. Do you know what I mean? And that has to be something. Look, a lot of times one of my complaints about the Steelers are that we have this problem, and instead of feeling like not visible to the fan base, at least, that we have this problem, we've identified it, we're going to try to fix it, right? Like, think about the wide receiver room last year. Like, we knew that wide receiver room was jacked up, right? We fucking knew it. Everybody's saying it. Yeah. And you got Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan and all these guys on there going, well, we really trust the guys we have. And look, I know they have to say that, right? But there's also a way to say like this, we know this isn't the ideal situation, but we're going to make the best out of it, or something a little bit different. So you let fans know that like we recognize that this isn't ideal, instead of blowing smoke up our asses. So I feel like a lot of times there's stuff like that where we know we have a problem and we didn't try to fix it. And I felt like that about our secondary last year. And I feel like, wow, they really in a big way went out and said, we're not doing that again. And we're going to find solutions to those problems we had. And they did that. So I have hope that they've identified this issue, continue to identify this issue with Porter, and they're working on something in the off season and training camp to help improve that, because you just can't afford to take those kind of penalties, especially when our defense was struggling like it was last year. You just can't afford it. And so I think he's always going to be handsy. I think it's in his genetics. I think it's who he is, but that doesn't mean that he has to, he can't continue to improve. I think he'll improve.
That's a great point. I like that you brought up the kind of the energy the Steelers had, the weird thing of making bad moves, because I felt like staying with Darius Slay and Joey Porter Jr. as the top 2 cornerbacks would have been a 2024 move. Going out and saying, yeah, that's okay, but we could do better. And I guarantee, looking down, they're like, Jamar Chase twice a year. We can't have that happen again. And
right. So I mean, even looking at Zay Flowers, I mean, those guys they killed us. Do you know what I mean? You just can't do that. We're in look, at least with the Ravens and the Bengals, in a really pressure cooker situation in the AFC North. And those teams are tough and they play us tough.
Yeah, this is such an exciting room because we don't have to, rely on Beanie Bishop. We don't have to say, well, boy, I hope Corey Trice is ready because we absolutely need you guys. This is depth. And then I forgot that James Pierre's still hanging around there. Just good old solid James Pierre. Just like, yeah, I'm ready whenever you guys need me. Happy to be here.
But it gives you options. It gives you all of these options. And I like that. You know what I mean? I like having options rather than feeling like we're constantly forced, into this little box. I don't know. Relic says, wasn't our secondary injured? I think if we didn't have those injuries, we would have been better. I mean, I think there was some injuries, but wasn't the bigger issue just that kind of collapse they had once Cam Sutton returned for whatever the reason was? I mean, that's how it appeared from like my end. Maybe it was. I can't remember who was injured, but maybe it was fueled by some injuries or complicated.
I think there was a few. JPJ missed some time, all that kind of. But the same thing could be said about the year before with the inside linebackers. Just every single person going down. So, but it was communication. The middle linebackers had no idea. Patrick Queen was. I really do love me some Patrick Queen, but dude was overwhelmed last season with how much we put on his shoulders. And to me, that's a failure in coaching and not noticing that your middle linebacker was unable to handle that. He needed to be a little more free. And we said, here's everything, take it. And Patrick Queen's not a guy who's going to say, no, I can't handle that. He'll say yes and try to fake it till he makes it. He didn't make it.
And I agree with you. And I think Terrell Austin even acknowledged that in some press conferences last year that, like Minka's not playing Minka ball. And Relic brings that up, that he was out of position a lot, not all his fault, but still. And I think that happened to Minka. And I think it happened to Patrick Queen a lot where, they're picking up the slack for other people. And I've been very confident in blaming Cam Sutton for a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know what that was. I mean, obviously none of us were there, so we'll never know. But, was it that the players didn't feel confident in Sutton's abilities, and so there was some frustration that was bubbling up to the surface? Was Sutton contributing to the communication issues? Was he not in shape and ready to go like they thought he would be? I mean, there was something that went on there, because it just doesn't make sense to me that the defense, look, they weren't great. They weren't the top defense in the league, but they looked like they were communicating. They were mostly working together. It looked much better, right? We had some struggles in the secondary, but it didn't look like it did at the end of that season. Cam Sutton came back, and to me, the wheels just fell off.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Tomlin bashing. I never like to do it just for the sake of it, but that kind of felt like Tomlin, because Cam Sutton was Tomlin's guy. That's why he came back. And that kind of felt like Tomlin making an old school Tomlin decision, like, hey, these guys need some veteran people that know how to communicate. Cam Sutton's my guy. Cam, go in. And it didn't work. And he couldn't admit that it didn't work. And he kept him in, and it got worse. So that's kind of what I felt it was.
And I agree with you. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it definitely felt like Tomlin stuck his neck out for Sutton, and you're too prideful to admit that it wasn't a great situation, and you continue to stick with it and put your head in the sand, and it was a shit show. Yeah, Relic brings up that Patrick Queen needs to learn to wrap his damn hands around for the tackle. It feels like we're watching a 4-year-old playing Madden with the hit stick all the time. I can't disagree. I was a little surprised at some of that from Queen. And I just expect to see Queen come in this year and perform much better, almost like the difference between like your rookie and sophomore season, because I think people forget the difference in workload for him going from the Ravens to the Steelers. Do you know what I mean? When you're stepping up into that lead position, you're wearing the green dot, you're that guy. He wasn't that guy for the Ravens, and so it was Roquan. And so I think that, this is a different role for him, and I think he acknowledged that during the year, that he was still learning. There was a lot to learn. So I hope that this year is a better year for him.
I absolutely agree, because Relic hit the nail right on the head. But what he saw was what happens when a defense that can't communicate decide to everyone play like they're an individual. You had 11 people playing like 11 people. They weren't playing like a team. And Patrick Queen just decided he was going to be like a college athlete again, just throw himself around and see what was going to happen. And that doesn't work in the NFL.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I got one.
I'm expecting a lot more
tonight. Anything else you want to say about this cornerback room before we move on to our last topic?
No, just confident. Okay. That's it.
So the ESPN came out with their top 100 list. It cut it off. It's the top 100 teams since 2000. Sorry, it cut off the top. Messed my whole slide up. Jesus, what did I do? The Steelers had 2 teams make the list and 1 team make honorable mention. The 2020 or the 2004 team that lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship was ranked 24th, and the 2008 team that won Super Bowl 53 against the Cardinals was 21. The 2005 team that won the Super Bowl against the Seahawks was given an honorable mention. Obviously, the Patriots, I think it was their 2017 was the number one. But I'm curious if you guys, Zach, do you, Zarelli, whoever's watching, feel like that's fair? Do you feel like those teams maybe should have been ranked a little higher? Do you think that there's Steelers teams that should have been on there and aren't?
It was a very, very specific kind of ranking, I felt, because number one, that was one of the longest articles I have read in a long time. I mean, that was a novel. But from what I gleaned from all of it,
just that little club cutout piece, and I went to go look for the rest of it, and was like immediately my brain was like, nope, too long, did not read. Go back to what Zach said.
Yeah, that's why I summarized. I went through every single paragraph, and I was making. That's why I got it all from. But what he did is he didn't just look at how the season ended. He looked at what you had to go through to get there. And when he said that, I immediately was like, okay, well, the 2005 Steelers better be really high on that list. And when they weren't, I'm like, I can't take you as seriously as I do anymore. Lots of Patriot love on there. I mean, there was a lot of New England Patriots on that list. But there was,
and look,
I kind of
should be, right? Like, as there should be. Yeah. You can't take away from what that team did. I never would. But name another team that jumped through the bullshit flaming hoops that the 2005 Steelers jumped through. Nobody believed in them. They had to go on a winning streak to be able to make the playoffs and then win. I mean, and win out. And then nobody believed in them. They played all those playoff games on the road. I mean, they were the underdog all the way up to the end. And to me, I just think that's not something that even the 2007 Patriots faced. What adversity did they ever face?
Exactly. I specifically remember watching the 2007 Patriots slowly getting more and more tired as the season went on. I'm like, oh, you guys are going to lose eventually. It was different. And the 2008 Steelers, people forget that offensive line was pretty bad most of the season. And then they pulled it together for one of the greatest Super Bowl drives you will ever see in your life. So the fact that those two weren't higher, I was like, oh, so it's just because we're the Steelers. I get it. So it was an interesting read, but it was an off-season article.
Yeah. Stop. I looked at it. That was my first thought, was like, oh, you're a Brady fan or a Patriots fan or a Belichick fan or whatever, because they were, I mean, it was, what did Brady played 20 years in New England, and they were on that list 19 times or something in like the top 25 spots. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
It wasn't that serious. There's a lot of other teams since 2000 that have done impressive things. And I was surprised when you looked at that honorable mention list. There was a few teams that were on there that had won Super Bowls and I thought had done a lot to get there and were only given an honorable mention, very similar to that 05 team. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Both New York Giants teams that beat the Patriots only got honorable mentions despite beating the Patriots both. So it doesn't make a lot. Like I said, it was the kind of article that reminded me where we are in the offseason. I'm like, oh, we're this bored. Okay.
Look, I can relate because like right now we're writing articles that are things like, what did George Kittle's girlfriend or wife tweet out about some person you've never heard of's baby gift or something. Like I'm like, really, I'm wasting time on this. Is anybody reading this? I don't think so. I don't think anybody cares. Like somebody did an article I'm editing, and somebody did an article the other day on how Tom Brady and Wayne Gretzky sat together at a FIFA match. Like we really need football to come back because we are scraping the bottom of the barrel right now.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, it is the off season, but the good thing is we are Boswell days away from camp, and this is, there'll be, hopefully injuries don't create other kind of, camp battle positions, but this and wide receiver too are pretty much where all the eyes are going to be.
Yeah.
So cornerback, like there's been a lot of these positions that we've looked at that I've been like, this will just be a thing. And then sneakily, I'm like, this is a really interesting position group. And this cornerback group, not only could they be really good, I kind of feel like they're already working on having like a little bit of a brotherhood, like a camaraderie within that room alone. And you need that. You need that to have an identity, not just as a defense, but as a secondary. You guys are shut down corners like across the board now. Now do something with it.
Yeah, you got to do something. You got to step up this year. You have to. Can't have any excuses this year. All right, real quick before we go, Relic has one last question he threw in here. On a real note, if not this year, when is our year? When will we get to the promised lands again? What will it take? Tomlin gone, new quarterback, TJ gone, multiple picks. Questions. I mean, look, my personal opinion, I think, they've done enough this year. I mean, is there a shot? Yeah. I mean, I think if we can get Aaron Rodgers performing like Aaron Rodgers, it doesn't even have to be young Aaron Rodgers, just Aaron Rodgers of a few years ago, pre-Achilles injury Aaron Rodgers, then I think we have a shot. If it's not this year, I don't think it's a Tomlin issue. I may be in the minority. I don't think it's a Tomlin issue. I think Tomlin can get us to the Super Bowl. I think it's a quarterback issue. So if it's not Rodgers, then I think it's getting that next franchise quarterback, whether it's through the draft next year and support, building the supporting cast around him. So if not this year, I think we're looking at 3 years.
No, I agree. And people aren't going to like my answer because it's pretty much don't do a thing differently. Just patience, because we're doing exactly what we need to. Yeah. If we win the Super Bowl this year, it's not completely out of left field, but it would be a big surprise to a lot of people. We would have to overachieve in a lot of ways. But if we just keep doing what we're doing, this year, win a playoff game, get the fan base a little excited. Like you said, quarterback next year, TJ for 3. That year 3, yeah, you could legitimately be talking about contenders, depending on what rookie quarterback we get.
Yeah.
If we get one. So we're not that far away. A lot of people really think we're far away. It's just we have to be as patient as Omar Khan is. And the reason he's there is because not a lot of people are. That's why he's very good at his job. Patient.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're making all the right moves. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really feel like for the first time in a long time, like this offseason, it feels like, wow, we're really heading in the right direction. Like Omar Khan gets it. Like we got a taste of that, last year. I think we're getting a bigger dose. Like I think he's for all the fans, and I was one of them who was worried he was going to be like Colbert Jr. Like he has shown that like he's got his own cojones. He can do his own thing. He is not Kevin Colbert, and he's not afraid to show it. I think it shows. I think there had to be some trust built between the Rooney family and Tomlin and Khan. I think that trust has been established, and I think they're making the moves that they need to make to build that team. But I always tell people, I think that the one thing people forget about when we talk about what's it going to take to get to a Super Bowl, it is that little bit of luck, that things fall in your favor. Like how many teams have started off the season and they should win it all, and everybody thinks they should win it all. And then, look at the 49ers riddled with injuries. You know what I mean? Look at Baltimore years where Lamar's gone down. Like you have to have like that perfect storm of like guys playing their best football, your schedule working out so that, you're able to win the games you need to win, and that your team manages to stay injury free enough to get you to where you need to be, and then injury free in the playoffs so that you can win those playoffs. I mean, it's just so much that goes into it. And the luck factor is something that, you have to have everything else ready. So when luck comes is on your side, you're ready to step up. And I also think that people forget that like these teams that are winning Super Bowls, short of like these super dynasties like the Patriots or the Chiefs, they're not making it to the Super Bowl every year. Like we aren't seeing these teams like make it every year and lose, right? So this notion that the Steelers are going to like make it to the Super Bowl every year is ridiculous. We got to get back to winning some playoff games.
Yeah, that was a really interesting time because for a bit it was spoiled. It was 2005, 2008, 2010. That's a lot of Super Bowls in a short amount of time with two different coaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you have the Tom Brady thing where suddenly it was, one team always in this. The parity is important. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, everybody breathe. It's going to be a fun year.
I think
I was excited about having a fun year with Mason Rudolph, and then everything on Earth changed. So
right.
we're just gonna have a
When you
fun
get
season.
excited about Mason and no wide receiver, then you can, they throw you a little milk bone and you're really excited. So I feel like we got a lot of good things happening. I'm excited for camp. I think it's going to be a good
Exactly.
season. Yeah, I'm excited to watch this one play out. Well, if you've joined us tonight and chimed in, we really appreciate you. Relic, as always, we appreciate you. If you're catching this after the fact, please drop us a comment. Let us know what you think about our cornerback room and the defense. You agree that the Steelers could have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Also, let us know what you think about that ESPN's 100 list and where you would have put those Steelers teams. Certainly higher than 24. And if you don't already, please follow us on Twitter, both the podcast page as well as our personal pages, and drop us a comment. And we will be back to see you next Tuesday night. Have a good week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Leanne and Zach would like to thank you for tuning in to the Steel City Huddle podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.